Help support the companies that support our community.
All right, so I have a blank here. So first thing we're going to start out with, I'm going to prep this, and it doesn't matter whether you're prepping it for bottle stoppers, opener handles, pizza cutters, and we're going to do the muddlers today. But all you do is you put it in your chuck, and you can do this on a drill press too. I just like to do it on the chuck. It keeps everything lined up. So put it in like that. And the first thing we're going to use is a Forstner bit. And it just needs to be a larger size than the diameter of whether you're turning a bottle opener or a stopper. Just needs to be a little bit bigger. And this is going to create a flat spot on the bottom of the handle here, whether it's a wine stopper or opener. And that way, when you screw the two pieces together, it sits nice and flat. So what I like to do is turn the lathe speed up and just use the point of the Forstner bit. I just run it in there just a little teeny bit and kind of let it center itself. If you just jab that point in, it could be off a little bit. So once it's all set, then I turn the lathe speed down and we will just rotate it in. You don't have to go very far. You're just creating a flat spot. Back it out right there. Just barely need to go in there. And then we're going to switch the Forstner bit. And we're going to use the inserts. So we're going to use 7/16 drill bit. I have it marked right on there with a Sharpie, how far it needs to go in. So we're just going to put that in. And tighten it up. Bring it right up. Don't pop or hit the blank until you lock it all down, and turn the lathe on, and we're gonna just go in with that. Make sure the lathe speed's going slow. You don't want to burn its way in. You want it to cut its way.
How far in do you go?
How far do you go in? That I actually don't know. I have it marked on the bit. Maybe I should find out. I'll have a pop-up with how deep you want to go for the stainless steel inserts. But there's where I have it marked right there. All right. Then after you have that done, let's go ahead and put the insert in. And so I use 5-minute epoxy, but I know some people that use medium CA glue, and it works very well too. I don't have any right now. I'm going to get some and try that out, but the 5-minute epoxy works nice too. We're going to put the stainless insert in. Let me mix up a little bit of 5-minute epoxy here real quick. And you don't need much of this. A little bit. Keep the cap on. And just make sure it's mixed well. So don't skimp on the mixing part of it. There we go. Just put a little bit. A little popsicle stick works great. Put a little bit on, and so these are capped too, so the epoxy isn't going to get into the threads. And so I switched the Jacobs chuck out with a cone-shaped live center, so it works really well. So just kind of get it lined up there, bring the tailstock back up, lock it down, and that sinks it right in there. And I'd always go in just a hair more so that it is countersinked back inside of there. Wipe the excess off, and it is all prepped. It says it's 5-minute epoxy, but I usually let it set up for at least 15 minutes or so. But through the magic of YouTube, I have another blank all ready to go. So this is one we're going to make for the muddler handlers. So same process there, just countersink them down in there a little bit. That makes sure that your stopper, opener, muddler, whatever is going to seat on this flat spot right there. So just make sure it's not proud. The inserts are proud. All right. All right. We're all ready to go. We're going to go ahead and put our mandrel on, and then that just threads right onto there. Let me get the live center changed, and we're going to go ahead and bring that up. So whenever I'm turning, whether it's bottle stoppers and they're just 2.5 inches or a handle like this, I always bring the tailstock up to support it. That is just a small little stud in there that's holding on to this whole piece, and you don't want to be turning out here, putting pressure on that, that much pressure on that little stud. All right, let me get the live center switched. All right, I have the tailstock brought up. I'm going to turn lathe speed up to 3000, and I'm just going to true it up with a spindle gouge. All right, have it all trued up. It's a beautiful piece of burl. So what I'm going to do is bring this part right down here, down to the diameter of the mandrel. So that diameter there is the same diameter as the wine bottle stoppers and the muddlers. So all you have to do is bring that down to that little collar right there. And it will fit on there perfectly. There we go. I'm going to bring this part right here down a little bit. It's a little bit big. All right, and then I'm going to put a bead there with the beading tool. Just like that. Then I'm going to switch to a smaller spindle gouge so I can get right up against that. And I'll bring this down a little bit lower than the height of the bead. There we go. I'm going to switch back to the big one. There we go. I'll do the same on the other side. I'll use the smaller spindle gouge to get right up against that. Bring it down to the same height as the other side. And then switch back to the bigger spindle gouge. That one there looks like it needs to come down a little bit more. There we go. All right, I'm going to take this material here off. All right, now I'm going to start shaping the top part of the handle. So that live center did go in there just a little bit. So I don't want to go all the way to the end, about like that. I just barely have that point sticking out there. Just kind of slope this down You want to have a nice handle on it for the muddler, give you some leverage on it. There we go. There we go. Bring this little bit down here. Like so. Then I'm going to take and use the wire burner to burn those two little grooves right there. Just kind of highlight, so it highlights that bead. And then we're going to use the super fine detailer, and we're going to come in and bring this material down there so we don't have to turn all of that away. And then we can pull the tailstock away. Just taking off that little tip there on the end. And so just supporting it with my hand too, so there's no vibration, or as little as possible. There we go. And then all we need to do is turn on the dust collector and sand this. So I'll run through all the grits here real quick, and we will get a finish on it. Let me get the dust collector set up and we'll come back. All right, I got the lathe speed turned down. I'm going to run through all the grits dry and just put a Pins Plus finish on the top of this to give it a nice gloss to it. And it is a beautiful piece of burl, so it is going to be gorgeous. So run through all the grits here. Just stay away from that bead. The bead is actually finished. I might, maybe hit it a little bit with 600 or something. But other than that, I'm not going to sand that bead. So you don't want to sand the top of it. It'll flatten it out. All right. Have it all sanded up to 600. I wiped all the dust off. So paper towel here. So what we're going to do is we are going to put the Pins Plus on it. This is a friction polish. I usually put about 4 coats on. Just put a little bit on the paper towel like that. And wipe it on with the lathe off, and then turn the lathe on. And just kind of work it back and forth a few times. You can see the reflection when it starts to shine. It's a friction polish, so it dries really quick. And it takes about 10-15 seconds, and it's already dry. So we're going to put on 3 more coats here. And so with the last coat, I usually let it sit for, I'd say about 10-15 minutes or so on the lathe, because it is it does dry super quick, but it's also, you got to grab a hold of it and loosen it up off the mandrel. So that does put a lot of pressure on it. So I usually let it set up for about 10 or 15 minutes after I'm all done. All right, and the last coat here. Get it all worked in, and lathe speed back up. And you can see, just work it back and forth, put a little bit of pressure on it, and you can already see the reflection there. And that is it. I'll let that set on the lathe for a little while, and then we'll come back and take it off.
There we go. I let it set up for about 15 minutes. It is just a beautiful piece of maple burl. The handle is 5 inches long. And the muddlers. So we have two different styles. We have a smooth one and a textured one. And they thread right into the stainless inserts, just like the wine stoppers. The stud on them is 3/8/16, and the collar right there is the same diameter as the mandrel and the wine stopper. So it threads right in like that. So these, we just got these up on the website on Monday, just started selling them. So I think it would be a great set with a whiskey stopper and a set of muddlers. So when you're making these two, you only need to make one handle, and then because you're not going to use them at the same time, where you can swap them back and forth, or you could even do one on each end, the smooth one on one end and the textured one on the other end. I see a lot of people doing bottle openers where they do the bottle opener on one end and the can tab pull on the other end. So same thing with this, you can put one on each end. We're super excited about those. I will put a link down below in the description to the website where you can go check them out and read the description. All right, hope everybody enjoyed the video, and we will see you next week. Take care.